Welcome back to my CryptoQ Media channel. It's great to have you back. Presently, there is a great deal of conjecture about the SEC and financial organizations. This is not a security announcement, but rather a statement issued by Ripple's Chief Legal Officer CLO to commemorate XRP's one-year anniversary. We may observe some reflections as we approach the one-year anniversary of the judge's summary judgment decision in the SEC v. Ripple case. A watershed moment came when the courts ruled that XRP alone is not a security. Decisions that followed, the most recent being in the Purchase Nance case, acknowledged the SEC's blatant overreach and disregard for the law during Gensler's tenure as head. Even while the courts have provided a much-needed check on the SEC's actions, it is not feasible to seek clarity piecemeal through unending litigation. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are getting more and more frustrated by the lack of legislative action on cryptocurrency regulation, as the US continues to lag behind other industrialist nations. We are still very much involved in this case, and the fate of the remedy is uncertain. Nothing has changed with the court's ruling that XRP is not a security. Also, the SEC has already told the judge that it won't be challenging that decision. While the industry and Meyer Ripple work their way through the legal maze, be focused on them since the SEC is constantly trying to divert your attention. With Chair Gensler out of the way, the SEC Ripple can finally die down, and the industry stands to benefit overall. It is worth mentioning that the SEC has been in a losing streak ever since the decision was made. Nevertheless, the SEC seems to be considering the token's practical utility when deciding how to regulate Bitcoin. They also seem intent on banning tokens with real-world applications. Even though the token is useless, they act as if nothing is wrong with it. We ought to be on the opposite side of this, almost. Anderson should be quite proud of this. We have it all figured out, and the existing system's dominating players are unaffected by useless tokens. Here we have J.D. Vance discussing blockchain technology in relation to cancer. It was just announced that J.T. Vance will be serving as Trump's vice president. I don't understand why other big projects were let go while XRP was being investigated. The focus is squarely on the practical aspects, like before. On the other hand, there's this: I think a reset is required. This was sent by Hester Peirce. Simultaneously, Hester Peirce keeps nitpicking about how the SEC's plan is wrong. The SEC's enforcement-based approach has failed to produce results in the industry. But that doesn't help us either, since we're a small regulator with limited funds. Upon further examination, it becomes clear that the SEC has a number of problems. We were especially worried about debanking in March of 2023, when rumors of Operation Choke were initially circulating. Alright. You may be asking, what the hey, Nick? Here we are, having just fulfilled Hester Peirce's desire for a reset. Are we seriously going to bring up debanking after previously criticizing the SEC for their incompetence? Yes. Because the SECs are focusing their efforts here. Remember to bring up this subject again when you meet with J.D. Vance. Will current officials be the primary target? A token of no use to the existing power brokers is of no consequence to them. Following the revelation of debanking in the cryptocurrency industry, it was quite clear that the SEC, along with other key government agencies such as the Fed, the FDIC, and the OCC, was relentlessly pursuing this field to protect the interests of the large banks. Ripple and XRP are the biggest worries of the big banks. Very recently, from Eleanor Soretu. This was verified to us by the previous Obama Solicitor General. Despite the dire need for banking services in the digital assets sector, federal officials have initiated a coordinated effort to debank the Bitcoin company. Its publication date on July 4 is proven by this. After this, Rule 121 was implemented, being reversed. Meanwhile, did you hear the House vote to repeal SEC anti-crypto rule? Rule 121 was postponed after President Biden delivered a dramatic letter to the House of Representatives, threatening to override his veto. Doing business in this manner is incorrect. Now that I've said that, I agree with Patrick McHenry completely. The sad truth is that a lot of these lawmakers just talk the talk and do nothing. This is an issue because of SAD 121. Right now, there is a huge focus unexpectedly. Not many news outlets are reporting on the SEC's decision to make exceptions to Rule 121, which may come as a surprise to you. You have our gratitude for bringing to our attention, Good Morning Crypto, the news that the SEC is granting exemptions to SAB 21 to a few of significant American institutions. I have experience working for various prominent financial organizations. Customers' assets are safer with crypto banks than with non-banks because of the added layer of security they provide, and because US banks cannot be forced to declare bankruptcy. What this means is that there are no longer penalties for certain institutions who offer Bitcoin custody services. The fact that the SEC is using the same criteria it used in the DeFi arena to pick winners and losers in the TradFi domain is my biggest complaint. I don't think it's important to mention any of those big banks because everyone is familiar with their names. This presents a problem. The SEC has made this a top priority and given banks exceptions to SAP 121 to protect their clients' assets in the case of a bank failure. One could think this is fantastic news for cryptocurrency markets, given that banks' structural advantage is beneficial and increases security since it complies with SEC regulations. But let's be very honest here, they will be the ones to decide who wins. For this reason, I focus on the covered operations of the SEC, such as protecting the affluent bankers from responsibility. Let me tell you, these megacorporations have expanded in size and wealth dramatically since 2008, when the economy was in its worst state. So, I basically zero in on Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, and Citi. You might be surprised to learn who came out on top when the banking sector amalgamated. Big banks and other financial organizations. A major problem exists in this area. Having said that, the plot is the same. Things can be viewed from a somewhat different perspective now that cryptocurrency is involved. Upon closer inspection, however, it becomes clear that every major government agency was utilized as a tool to undermine the banking system and attack cryptocurrencies. This has also persisted for almost 4 years, as reported by the SEC. This presents a problem. On top of that, I think a reset is required. Having said that, Hester Pierce is not deserving of even being considered for chairman because she has also been completely ineffective. Thus, upon closer inspection, I do not believe this to be a SEC issue. We need a new agency comprised of Web 2 and Web 3 performers to guide this entire sector in the right direction. Having to rely on these TradFi folks who seem to know everything there is to know about crypto when, in fact, they have no clue is becoming tiresome. As a result, I crack up. If you're new to my channel and have just subscribed, I appreciate it. Until then, take care.